And we are live, I'm assuming. Let me check, check. This is on. Good to be seeing each one of you. I don't know if this is working, but I sincerely hope it does. And thank you so much. It's been quite some time. And I know 40 days of 2023 has passed by, but it's always good to connect with people, though I don't see too many. But I'm pretty sure you'll pick it up once the recording is done. So, what's been happening 40 days into 2023? Of course, not so great news in terms of all that is happening across multiple industries, because the heart does go out to a lot of people who have been affected by it. I know global economies are not in the best of health, but then I think you have to give it to a country like ours where things seem to be, I mean, at least people are holding on by the tender hooks and things are moving at a pace. Like a lot of leaders in India Inc. are saying, let's not bet against our country because we do have the potential to lift ourselves up no matter what comes along our way. So it's always good to see the positive angles amongst despair and gloom. Of course, some very heart wrenching and painful scenes coming out from Turkey and Syria. Extremely sorry to see what's happening there. I know we've seen images of death and destruction. Not very pleasing for the heart, body, mind, and soul. But amongst the rubbles is also stories of unearthing people alive, especially, I mean, if I remember a news bulletin this 24 hours ago where someone stuck for 47 hours under the rubble was able were pulled out by the rescuers. I mean, that is amazing. Those are the kind of stories of grit, hope, determination that we want to see, and which, of course, instills all the positivity that we need. Having said that, a lot of talk around a certain business group and a certain research agency nitpicking them, which is, and of course, there are a lot of YouTubers speaking about them, but it's definitely something concerning. But then the head of India Inc. and of course the head of that particular company knows what's right, and it does look like they have things under control, and these are just minor hiccups. And of course, there was a lot of debate if this is going to affect the country, but it looks like it isn't happening. It is one of those bad days in the market when a lot of people get, let's put it this way, when suddenly a company is under the scanner and things go awry. But then I'm sure a company with that sort of pedigree has its own ways of coming out of it and coming out of it well. So all the best to them. So what's happening in sports? Well, I did hear that one of those very inspirational female sports persons, at least in India, and of course around the world, Sania Mirza retired. Wow, so that is crazy, man. It's like 17, 18 years. Of course, much before that, when she actually picked up the game, so that's like 20 years, 20, 25 years of absolute dedication to a game where she made it her career, won laurels for the country, won Grand Slams. Man, that's a big thing. And inspire a generation of people to pick up the racket and not just swish and sway, but of course, score points from the baseline, volley, smash, and just win. I think kudos and congratulations to Sania. I mean, Sania, for my generation, who were around 15 or 20 when Sania picked up or became a pro. Uh, of course, a big sporting crush for a lot of us, but of course, an equally respected tennis player. And I'm pretty sure Sania started out as a singles player, then merged into doubles. And I think that's where she found her way there. She's got great laurels. She has definitely inspired a lot of players. I know the I've been privy to a lot of them. I've actually been honored to have worked for the branding of of an ATP 250 tournament right here in Pune many years ago, and I did meet the crop of Indian players, male and female, and everyone had positive words whenever they spoke about positive words about Sania, positive words about positive words about the Indian Tennis Federation and the support that they have been receiving. Uh, 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 I mean, they have been receiving as and when needed, which augurs well for a sport where India has a history. Of course, that's through the Amrit Rajas, and it's good to see a lot of people coming up the ranks because it's important that we diversify. And in sports, of course, cricket being numero uno, but if someone can come across tennis, someone can come across squash, someone can come across badminton, let's not forget the footballs. And if we find role models across sporting disciplines, I think we are definitely on the right track as a nation because along with being an economic superpower, we also need to be a pretty much a powerhouse in sports because sports has the ability of uniting each and every one of us. Because you've seen that, right? You've seen that when, at least when the Indian cricket team plays, everyone sort of rallies together and screams on the screens beyond the capacity of their lungs. And it's also good to see the interest generated in the other sports. Other sports need their due, need their day under the sun. That's what happened with the Thomas Cup many years ago, just last year. Happy to see that, I mean, because we need inspirational figures across disciplines, and Sania has been one of that. And I do hope she continues her journey. And I know she's got an academy in Hyderabad, if I'm not wrong. She also has an academy lined up in Dubai. I know she hasn't officially retired, as she will be retiring post the Dubai Masters somewhere this month or the next month. But it's good to see the nation's flag flying high. And I think all her laurels will provide a platform, rather an inspirational platform for a lot of other young men and women who want to take up tennis as a sport. So great going, Sania, and thank you so much for all those memories. I still remember the paper cutting where Sania won the Hyderabad Open, where she just lifted the trophy. I think she was 20, 17, 18, or 19. Yeah, 18 or 19 around that time, and it was good to see a young sports person lifting a trophy, and especially I dare not say this, but I'd like to, a women sports person in India doing it, making it big at the biggest stages of all. Okay, what else do we have? I know there's a gloom around, and not everyone's in the most peppiest of moods, but it's good to always speak about it. On the personal front, yes, yours truly picked up a tennis ball and wielded the bat, if I can say that word, if I can use that word, in a local tourney, cricket tourney, and the pain in the shoulders and the calf muscles after that. Oh boy, think I've picked up the sport or realign myself with the sport after a good decade and a half. I think last remember swaying my bat and connecting with the ball and watching it sail over the boundary line somewhere in 2008, or rather, yeah, 2008, 2009. So that's freaking 15 years later. The bowling aspect, of course, keeps happening because it's like this: if you see an empty alley, your natural reaction is to enter into the zone of a bowler. So it could be left arm, right arm pace, left arm leg spin, right arm leg spin. The ball that goes the other way, you don't know. I mean, that's how it is for guys sometimes. Find an empty alley. If I find an empty road, you just start doing. Hey, so it was good to be part of the tourney. I can say for sure. Though I'll be honest, 15 years of not playing the game can take a toll, especially when you have tires around your midriff. Tires around your midriff definitely doesn't help, but we're trying our best to melt down those tires and lead some sort of healthy lifestyle. Though I would advocate that you start your healthy lifestyle personas or plans much well before you turn 30, because after 30 it's a drag, man, I'm telling you. Listen, until of course you have a perfect work life balance, which in my honest opinion continues to be a myth. But no, I have seen people who have burst a lot of myths. So great going to them because they've been able to find that balance, or at least they have a weighing scale where uh, both the hands or ticks are at a perfect balance. The equilibrium has been maintained. So great going there. So a lot of crazy news around the tech front, and well, why don't we speak about Chat GPT? Everyone's talking about it. Personally, haven't explored it yet, but have gone through a lot of memes, to be honest, because that's what everyone seems to be having, a meme and a screenshot around Chat GPT and their experience. Do not really know if that will replace a so-called search engine agency, because search engine behemoth, if I can use the word, AI in your lives. I mean, how much of space can you give it? Well, of course, you are governed by it, or you notice instances that govern your life using artificial intelligence. I think everything around, a lot of things that we do online are governed by it. But how much more can it enter in your life? Just when you think that you've had enough of it, there's something new which hopes to bring in convenience and solve a lot of uh, not really troubles, but bring in an extra string or a layer of convenience just to make you a little bit more lazy, inverted commas, please. But yes, you can't really move your face away from it, because that's how it is. That's how it is functioning these days. You just know that artificial intelligence is perhaps right now seen in pockets across the world or across multiple instances of your life. But these are things that we have to live with. These are things that we'd probably like to learn a little bit more before it actually takes over our lives. Sorry, sorry. I thought I should be a bit serious, but then that's how it is. So, how do we address this? Well, of course, it's about reading through or reading more about it. And I would say, why don't you try for fitments or search for fitments where you think artificial intelligence can be an enabler. I know it's tough, it's not easy, it's not a child's play, but it's always good to be learning about technologies. There's a fun associated with that. A lot of you would say then normal life becomes a drag. or normal life becomes too mechanical. It's what a lot of my uncles do say, that यार टेक्नोलॉजी ने जिंदगी को क्या से क्या कर दिया. Sorry for my other listeners, they say it's, what has really technology done to us? I mean, are we slaves? Are we, is it enabling our lives? I mean, it's a topic of discussion that I have regularly with them. uh, they tend to see the positive aspects and of course add fire to a lot of those negative ones, because to be honest, when they tell us stories about how they learned and studied without technology really being intrusive vis-a-vis what they see right now, where you can probably be working from somewhere in a completely different city, working for an organization which has a completely different, which has a HQ in a a different city altogether, and of course lies with a vendor who's in your third city and still get the work done. So that's, as miraculous as that seems, it is a reality, and a lot of people seem to be embracing it. But then the debates galore continue, and continue they shall, till the time we have that perfect balance of baby boomers, millennials, Gen Zs, and there's a new thing known as Gen Alpha as well. So, should I welcome them into the workforce? I think not just yet. Maybe another half a decade or so, and then we find Gen Alphas into our workforce. A topic for another day, but for sure a topic that has to be taken into consideration. Having said that, I think I've spoken a lot, but I'd love to get your views on this. So, what do you know next time? So, how's your February 2023? I know it's Valentine's week. Love is in the air. That's the joke that we regularly have. But I just hope that love continues to be an integral part of your life, and you need that love. I think I did watch this beautiful podcast episode by Ranveer Allahabadia. Talked about love and casual flings and uh, understanding your partner better. Great topic. Great expert on that particular episode as well. I think something you must be watching out, something you should be watching out, because as much as we complicate love per se, it's probably an effort. It's probably a string of multiple efforts. An effort, definitely in inverted commas, but it also needs a lot of smart work, and I would like to say that it's about finding a equilibrium. I think I've used this word earlier again, but then the balance is required, and the balance, hopefully you should be finding that balance whenever you, in your current relationships, in your now advanced relationships, and even if you're starting out relationships in the upcoming months. I think I forgot to speak about, yes, an extremely interesting 2020 spectacle. Now I'm talking about the sport of cricket, so T20. Been watching the SA20. It's very nice to see a lot of Indian companies have invested in those teams, as well as you get an opportunity to watch some very good South African talent on display. Uh, Seems like everyone's having a ball there, at least in that tournament. And also, there are a lot of well-known foreign players who've played in the IPL and who are performing extremely well there. So, SA20, big thumbs up. I did also watch the BBL, and not all matches, but I did see the entire business end of uh, the Big Bash. And there's a joke on TGC, the Third Grade Cricketer podcast, saying that probably the winners of BBL, of this edition of BBL, could have been a better T20 team for Australia in the 2022 World Cup. So maybe, I mean, There is no dearth of talent, that's for sure. Maybe that's something a lot of team sport sort of teams should be looking into. And maybe and just maybe because you have multiple formats within a sport, exploring different teams for different formats is something that you should be looking into. Also, come 2028, the Olympics, maybe having a separate team dedicated for the Olympics is a very good idea because that way that, or a certain player knows that he or she has to dedicate 4 full years in training for that particular sport and ensure that a country gets its gold, silver, bronze. I think that's a good idea. I mean, the economics part of that will be tough to manage, of course, because you'll be having a larger pool of players, maybe from a 2022 to a 40-42 pool of players. So there's something to be considered, I think. You never know, right? You never know that from the most. I mean, if I were to speak for a country like us, you might just find a brilliant talent in a tier 2 or tier 3 city who can be a perfect all rounder and probably that fast bowling all rounder that we are all looking for, or maybe a spin bowling all rounder, someone who has an X factor. And having 4 X factor players in your cricket team is something worth it. Comes out really handy when you in the crunch games, and that is where we've been faltering over the past few years. So maybe just maybe multi-format teams and maybe a team dedicated for the Olympic rush. It could work. It would work. I definitely think so. All right, wrapping up. Thank you so much. I know there we've been speaking. We've spoken about a lot of things. We've tried to span across. And oh yes, how can I forget this? Finally, great to see Palki Sharma Upadhyay back. Thank you, Palki. It's been at least ever since Jan 26th. I have been watching the Vantage regularly, and it's good to see you back. Good to see your style, your charisma on screen. Of course, the way you render news is brilliant. And once again, it is safe to say news anchor crush for sure, but loads of respect for the way you bring out perspectives because perspectives and narratives. Let's very upfront and very honest with that. Perspectives and narratives because unfortunately in the media, we are constantly bombarded. Probably bombarded is the right word. We're bombarded with narratives that are uh, certain section focused or focused to a certain or that come from a certain geographical region and uh, maybe it's time to have multiple perspectives and perspectives that definitely clash. There's no problem there. Clashing of perspectives is great, but then we should always be hearing two sides of the story and then probably make a judgment. That's the safest way to ensure that everyone knows what's happening. And of course, that's the safest way of using your granular region and your gray cells in putting forward the right sort of message. And with that right sort of message, I bid you goodbye and I hope to see you soon. Till then, keep smiling and stay healthy, of course. Take care of yourself. It's just out of a pandemic. We have to be extra careful. We don't want any repeats of the past 2 3 years. We want a positive environment where each one of us thrives, survives, and lives to see the next day in more brighter ways and means. Bye bye and take care.